Beautiful morning, isn't it? I've got some time to go flying, so why not? Last night I was here at a meeting and I asked our last year's past president, just on the off chance, I thought, hey, it's about time you went flying in a microlight. Why don't you come flying? And his reply was, what's the weight limit? Isn't there a weight limit? I said, well, yes there is. What do you weigh? And he said, 130 kilos. 250 pounds, and of course he doesn't. There's no way he weighs that, but obviously his answer was for a reason, wasn't it? Morning, Sparkles. Come on, get up. What was that? We haven't been flying in the morning this early for so long. Well, come on, get out of bed.
Maryborough traffic, Trike 6340, taxis for the apron, Maryborough traffic. This morning, I'm going to go for a fly to Tyro, just to have a look down there. The wind is quite calm, it's from the south, and it looks very pleasant. It's quite warm on the ground already. The time is now 7:30 AM, of course. And we're going to have a chat about my little encounter with our last year's president. What's he got to be scared of? Now, if you remember last video, next video, in a recent video or an upcoming video, whichever order these come out in, took my wife flying and asked her a similar question. Did you see the answer? Make sure you don't miss that one if you haven't already seen it. So as I said, we're going to go and have a look at Tyro. That's where I think I'm going to end up. And we're just going to backtrack now. We're just backtracking on 17, straight out departure more or less, to the south. There is hardly any wind really at all. But it looks like it's just a slight, couple of knots from the south really. Might do a little bit of a hyperlapse on the GoPro, if that's what you want to call it, of the flight to Tyro, and then once we get there on the way back we'll have a little chat. So enjoy this little sped up version of my super fast 300 knot aircraft. Yeah, right. Maryborough traffic, Trike 6340, lines up and rolls, runway 17, south departure, Maryborough traffic. So even though this is a sped up time-lapse version of the video, I can still talk. And you'll have a very sped up version of my flight. It's just like being in a jet plane at low altitude, isn't it? Maryborough traffic, Trike 6340 is airborne runway 17, departing to the south for 1,000 feet to Tyro, Maryborough traffic. So we're currently doing 74 knots indicated. Ground speed is 70, so as I said, there is a little bit of a headwind from the south, going right over the smokestack on the sugar mill below us. Now when that's going, you wouldn't want to do this because it's quite a lot of water vapor and heat coming up out of here. Actually, let's stop the hyperlapse time lapse. Something I just wanted to share with you right now. Some people have asked or been interested to know, what is an inversion layer? So that's when hot air, which is currently on the ground, is trapped below cool air. Now we all know that hot air rises but an inversion layer actually traps the hot air from rising until the hot air is warm enough to go through the cold air. So what we're going to do just now is we're going to climb above the inversion layer. Now sometimes you do get some turbulence and rough air there, not much really, but let's just climb. We're at 1,050 feet right now. We'll do a little bit of a climb. We'll see if we can discover, I'll keep the camera pointing out to the side. You can see some dirty air out to the right hand side there. We're just going to see if we can feel the bumps as we go through an inversion layer. So we're currently at 1,500. Now when you break through an inversion layer, you'll see a layer of, well, it's like dirty air sinking below you as you go through into clearer air. And the clearer air, it just feels, it's crystal clear, it's beautiful. All the smog and all the pollution, all the smoke is held down in the warm air underneath and trapped below the cool air. This happens and settles as a result of nighttime cooling of the air and settling of the air currents, the winds and everything during the night time. Within a few hours of the sunrise, the warming of the ground causes the air to mix again, causing the dirty air to be pushed up by the rising thermals. I can see the layer, but it's quite a bit higher at the moment. We're now at 2,400. I can start to feel bumps now. We're just probably getting up close to where it is. It's not bumpy much at all, but it's just the air feels different. You won't even see the bumps on the video, I bet you. But they're there, they're just light little bumps. Just reminders that something's changed, really. Hopefully it's nothing to do with the aircraft. Currently at 2,900 feet. Now, if you're interested as well, I'm climbing at 4,900 RPM. And we have a climb rate of 700 feet per minute. I'm not pushing hard. I'm in a fairly fast trim mode on the wing as well, so we're making good ground at the same time. I don't know if you can see it, but there's quite a distinct different colour in the sky. You've got that kind of lighter patch down below and then it turns into blue above it. So where that turns into blue is basically the, I guess the demarcation zone for the pollution that's trapped. Looks like it's going up quite high this morning, so we probably won't. Well, we'll keep going. Why not? We're not in controlled airspace or anything like that. It's fairly, it's all uncontrolled, like it's all open airspace really for us to play, isn't it? It's getting colder too, by the way. So that's another thing you'll notice is I've come out of the warm air, I've gone into the cold air. So this could be the trapped layer that we've just gone through with those little bumps. But I'm still seeing a lot of pollution up here. There is a mixing level as well. Actually, if you really look now, look at the haze. It's really gone hazy. And that means a lot of the pollution is now below us. And it won't improve, obviously, as we climb out on top of the inversion layer. It won't improve. It'll get worse. The more pollution that's below us, the dirtier and the worse the quality of the view will be. Now when we're doing aerial photography, of course, that is a huge consideration. There's no point going up to 3,000 feet to get aerial photos if we've got smog and haze going on. We have to stay low, but at the same time we're trying to get a nice big wide shot of whatever it is on the ground that we're photographing. Alright, I can see now quite a clear layer. I must be at about where the inversion layer is topping off. We're at 4,500. We're just climbing slowly at 500 feet per minute. these inversion layers occur in the afternoons as well. They can occur all day, but what happens is as the air warms up in the morning and through the day, the inversion layer rises, and that's also known as the mixing layer, where the air currents are the rising air currents are mixing with the cooler air currents above them. I haven't got pants on this morning, I've got shorts. I have got shorts on. So my legs are starting to get a bit cold. Didn't think I'd be coming up this high. We're at 5,500 now. Correction, 5,200 now, climbing. So we're pretty much topping out here at the inversion layer. I can still see another smog layer above it. It's almost like there's two layers. Anyway, that's how inversion layers work. I'm nearly at Tyro, as you can see in front of us. Tyro's the little township on my nose, and to the left is a mountain we've talked about in some of the other videos, which is really cool. It's actually not called Mount anything, it's called Bopple Mountain. And there's a township just to the east of Bopple Mountain, and it's called Bopple. Alright, so now's probably a good opportunity to talk about what we started talking about. I asked the president, last year's president, of the Aero Club in Maryborough, if he's ever wanted to go, well, if he'd like to come flying with me, I think he should, just to experience a microlight, an open cockpit, a real flight.
Oh, now wait a minute. This pilot, who was the president last year, wasn't a sport pilot, but was once a commercial pilot and is now a GA pilot. Doesn't fly flex wing, trike or microlight, but flies Cessnas and the like. So I wonder if that's why he had reservations. Let's go and find out, shall we?
Now, have you seen this morning, for many of you microlight pilots already out there, and maybe there's some well, enclosed cockpit type pilots as well, watching the video. The freedom of open cockpit and the visibility all around me, I can see it's quite a good safety factor. That's one good point to make, but it's also a great way just to enjoy flight and see it and taste it, touch it, smell it. You can really just experience it and be, what's the word they use? Very much, let me think. You're really I know, you're frustrated right now, you're telling me the word, aren't you? Anyway, you're totally immersed. Thank you. Immersed in the whole experience. It's like, but it's not virtual, it's real. This is real. And we can really get immersed in what we're doing here. So, the freedom of flight, this is what it's really all about. This is real freedom to fly. We still have all the same responsibilities as any other pilot flying anything, whether it be, well, a Cessna, Piper, you work your way through the list, right up to 747, A380 Airbus, a military jet, anything like that. We have the same responsibilities up here in the air. So we're always watching out, scanning the horizon, we're always doing our radio calls as required. You know, we've got to stay safe and vigilant because we're just as likely, well, you know, incidents ear to ear are not pretty. And we have a responsibility of good airmanship as well. Back to the main topic. Why did my ex-president, there's bumps, I think we're on a second inversion layer. We're just a brief interruption. Look at that, you can see the brown line there. So it is much higher, it does keep going up, this inversion layer. It's quite dirty up here this morning. Quite dirty indeed, and below us is Tyro. Okay, stay on subject, back to where we were. We were talking about my ex-president. Anyway, really, that was enough about him, that was his comment. He kind of sounded a bit reluctant, but I think I can push him to come flying. I won't, but never push people beyond their comfort level. Make sure they're happy to do it. You know, you don't want to take someone up that's going to freak out. So if they're not willing to do that at their own desire to do so, you know, just let them be and they might come round eventually. Just talk to them about it, and hopefully this video will help some of you that haven't been in a microlight think, hey, it's not so bad after all. Now look, I'm talking most of the time at the moment with one hand on the controls. Okay, look, I've just been talking with my hand. I don't feel like, you know, I don't normally talk with one hand, do I? Waving around like that. But anyway, what's different about a Microlight to a Cessna to a Piper? A lot of people won't fly in those, for example. If it hasn't got 50 seats in it, I'm not getting in. And we already know too that there's a lot of people out there. Am I losing my helmet? There's a lot of people out there that won't even get in a plane full stop. Doesn't matter how big, small, whatever it is, safe it is, whatever. No, not flying, that's it, done. So it's everyone's level of comfort, I suppose. And really a Microlight is just an open cockpit aeroplane. Yes, it's got fabric wings. Yes, it's got strut, well, this one's got struts, but a lot of them also have wires, no struts. The reason for the struts, obviously, is to support the wing on the ground, as well in compression. If you know anything about mechanical engineering and stuff, so the weight of the wings is pressing on the struts. In the air, the struts are stopping the wing folding upwards, just like any other aeroplane. Some aeroplanes don't have struts though. Some aeroplanes use very strong wing spars, which are internal inside the wing. We don't see them, but they're there, and that's all about stopping the wings folding up and sagging down when the aircraft's parked on the ground or landing even. What about one of those hard landings where the aircraft endures quite a heavy, the wings just want to fold down? That's what the struts do, that's what the wing spar does, it stops them folding down. Anyway, a Microlight is a plane with fabric wings, struts or wires for wing support, and it flies just like any other conventional plane. It uses aerodynamics to create that wing that causes lift because of the shape, the aerofoil as it's known. So, why don't you go flying in a Microlight and experience it? How could you not? Look at the view. It's spectacular. We might just drop down over this mountain and we'll head for home. I've got to be at a job at 9, so I've taken the liberty this morning of just finding some time. Enough time to go flying. I've still got 40 minutes before I have to be on the ground. And I've just been able to find some early time this morning to get some flight time in, because this year has been atrocious for weather, busyness, work, everything's just been against me getting away to go flying. So let's make the most of it now. The winter months are starting to come, we're in autumn, it's still quite warm. I know that when I get back to the airfield, I'm going to be stripping off because it's going to be so warm. I'll be sweating under my jacket. At the moment, I'm quite cool. What is the temperature, by the way? Let's have a look, shall we, while we're up here. Outside air temperature up here at the moment in the cockpit is 17 degrees Celsius. Now on the ground it would have been like 28. We're at 4,700 here. And there's a thing also relating to the inversion layer. It's weather anyway, thermals and rising air and hot air, cool air, called lapse rate, and if you're a pilot you know what that is. It's about 2 to 2.5 degrees of temperature difference per 1,000 feet of altitude, which means as you go up every 1,000 feet the air temperature drops by 2 to 3 degrees. We're at 4,500 above sea level. Our airport where we took off from hopefully still is, at sea level, and being at sea level, we can calculate 4,500 feet above sea level, 2 degrees per 1,000, 2 times 4, let's say 2 times 5, we should have had a temperature drop of 10 degrees. It's currently outside air temperature 17, we took off when it was about 28, and there's our 10 degrees. Look, the maths even works. Thank goodness for that. How's the view? Are you enjoying the open cockpit view? You should see it from my perspective. It's awesome. There's a few little clouds forming. That probably means there's some rising air around the mountain. There could be some moving air around the mountain. We've already seen from some of the smoke, you can see the haze in the distance, that there is a little bit of a southerly. In fact, some of the smoke down here has been moving. No, it is definitely southerly. Looking up to my north now, I can see smoke up there. The smoke is moving to the north, so we have a southerly, which means on this side of this mountain we have air pushing up over the top, and on the other side we'll have sink. We'll get lift on this end, but it will be rough as, so I'm not going to go too low over the top here. This mountain is just over 2,000 feet, and it's the biggest mountain in this area. And then you've got just about probably 70, 60, something like that, nautical miles to the west, a mountain called Mount Gananaman, and it's even bigger again. Actually, is this one only, yeah, it's about 2,000. So we're at 4,000 feet now, we're on a descent, just a slow descent. To have a look at the hill here. Let's call it a hill. So this is Bopple Mountain. I'd like to take this opportunity to give a big shout out to the two guys from CASA that came to the Aero Club last night and gave us a chat. And there was a third guy as well. He was connected with the local, the army. They came to talk about engineering and maintenance on general aviation aircraft and all that sort of thing. The endorsements and things you need to have, which isn't so related to recreational aircraft at all, but very interesting to see behind the scenes and what's required. It's quite complicated actually. The second workshop seminar that we had was to do with basically pilots and their responsibilities in uncontrolled airspaces and aerodromes. Basically good airmanship really. And those two guys from CASA, thank you very much. That was Ian and Bradley. Marvellous job, great to meet you guys, and hope to see you again soon. And appreciate the work you do in trying to inspire safety among pilots, keeping us all safe by making us think a little bit more about and educating us about what we need to know to stay safe and things that are changing in the industry as there is now. There's been some maintenance, certification and process changes with some of the regulations. Nothing really that applies to me. So the other guy from the army, Paul, his name, he was talking about the drones. We have a military restricted area to the east on the coast near Fraser Island, which we must always be mindful of and check the NOTAMs to see if it's a restricted active or deactive zone. The reason he was talking to us, what has the army got to do with aviation? Oh well, of course, they use shadow drone aircraft, surveillance aircraft. They often do operations at that field, in that area, but they stay within that area and they operate anywhere from 2,000 feet up to 20,000 feet. So it's good to know. There's also shells, ordnance and all sorts of other things going up in the air over there. You don't want to be in that area when they're active. Okay, so cheers guys, thank you very much, and catch up with you soon. And that's to the Army and the CASA blokes. Thank you. Yep, that's Tyro. I just thought I'd add something here before we land. The phone app that I'm using now to record this audio, I used it in the last video. We've been testing it and trying it out and seeing if it's worth using for this. What do you think so far? Let me know in the comments below. So far I think it's working out pretty well. It's very important in videos to have a nice clear audio when you're talking from the cockpit, especially difficult in an open cockpit where you don't have the luxury of no wind noise. I mean, I can hear wind noise with my headset, so if you think you're the only one because of the audio app and the microphone, no, I can hear it. It's quite windy, especially at the speed I'm doing, 75. You should try this at 90. Oh, there's a video in the archives, if you like, I did about 6 months ago, and I pushed. It's about how fast can I fly this trike, we got up to 90 knots straight and level. That got quite windy, quite noisy. So the audio app for me is working very well at this stage, and I hope you can also appreciate that. Hope you've enjoyed the video. I'm going to keep it there for now, unless something else interesting happens. Let's see how I land, let's save some battery, and we'll see how I go with my landing. And the plan this morning is already we got a southerly, a takeoff. We're going to land on the same runway we took off from, which will be runway 17, into the wind coming from the south, so landing to the south. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, and we'll wish you a safe flying and enjoyable week. Cheers. Maryborough traffic, truck 6340 is clear of all runways. Maryborough traffic.